Hey y'all, what's good? I rarely put out videos anymore, and some of the videos I had out I deleted a long time ago. I gotta make a video today because I have an issue that I looked up and found out that all of you across the world are having the same issue, and it's time we talk about it. It's time to get real about the emergency calls, the ghost calls on Apple's iPhone. Let's get into it. So we have an issue with the Apple iPhone, and I'm not talking about the crash detection. Way back when we had the iPhone 11, I know it seems like forever, right? There was a bug that started, and back then it was like hit and miss here and there, but now it's happening all the time. The Apple iPhone is calling 911 spontaneously. I'm always getting sheriff's deputies at my house doing a wellness check to make sure everything's okay. I'm always telling operators, no, it's a bug in the iPhone. You don't have to come to my house. They'll ask you your name, they'll get your address, and they'll come to your house anyway. I've had it all hours of the night, all around the day, and it's getting way redundant. Been dealing with this since iPhone 11. At the time of this video, I currently have two iPhone 14 Pro Maxes and of course my iPhone 13 Pro Max. And it doesn't matter if you had the 12, because it was happening on the 12, happened on the 11, happened on the 13 and the 14. The phones are calling 911, and even if they're turned off, completely off, they still turn themselves back on and call 911. Now, I've seen where there's been issues of people being on roller coasters and they're spontaneously calling 911 because of the crash detection. At the time of this video, I heard that they're trying to fix that. But no, this isn't that. This is where even if your phone is completely off and just sitting here on your desk, not being touched, it turns itself on and it will call 911. I'm sitting up here like I hear a voice in the background and I hear some 911 operator. I look down at my phone and I'm like, I see 911 on the screen. 5 minutes later, sheriff's at my door. I don't know how many people out there are experiencing this, but I'm going to tell you something. It's pushing me back to Android full time, and I don't have anything against Android. I love Android. In fact, I've been an Android user since the Galaxy S3 Mini. And then I remember my very first iPhone was the iPhone 4. And of course the 5 and so on and so forth. I stayed away from iPhone after the iPhone 5. And then years later, the iPhone 11 comes out and I say, okay, let me see if I can give iPhone another chance. I give it a chance. It's okay for a while. Keyboard started messing up. Then started these ghost calls from 911. Figure maybe it's just a one-off. At that time, it was only a few months before the iPhone 12 was going to drop. I got the iPhone 12 Pro Max. And at that time, I was on T-Mobile. All those ghost calls started happening. I thought, well, maybe it's something that was attached to the number. So I changed my number. Kept happening. Okay. Maybe it's something with the SIM card. Maybe I got a bad SIM card. Got a new SIM card. Kept happening. Took that SIM card out. Got another SIM card. Kept happening. Okay. Everyone kept saying, well, turn the phone off, turn it back on. Turn off the emergency, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Turn off the Wi-Fi calling. All that stuff, did that. I said, okay. Call T-Mobile tech support. They kick it to Apple. Say, well, it's an Apple issue. It's their phone. We just service it. Okay. Call Apple. No. Call back T-Mobile. I got bounced back and forth. iPhone 13 Pro Max comes out. I decided, well, I'm going to dump the 12 altogether. I'm going to dump T-Mobile altogether. and I'm going to go with a new carrier, new phone, new number, new everything, right? iPhone 13 Pro Max comes out, and I switched to Verizon. Was okay for a while. No problem. Couple months into it, started calling 911. I'm like, here we go again. Now, it couldn't be the carrier, because I have a different carrier. Couldn't be the SIM card, whole new SIM card, whole new service. And it certainly couldn't be any of the settings in there because everything was all different, right? So now I'm thinking, I don't know what it could be. Okay. So here's what I did. Got the 14 when it came out. Got the 14 on AT&T. Got another 14 on Verizon. Verizon and AT&T. 14 Pro Max. Guess what? Kept happening. And no matter how many times I turn the phone completely off, meaning you squeeze both sides, you get the little thing across the screen that says turn it off. I do that, turn it completely off. 5 minutes later, turns itself back on, calls 911. More sheriffs at my door. Matter of fact, last year, documented, and this is a recorded video, last year documented I had sheriffs at my door over 35 times. Over 35 times last year. I've, again, talked to tech support from both Verizon, AT&T. Nothing they could do. Both kicked it to Apple. I have the Apple Care. Called Apple. They gave me nothing. Here's the thing. If you really do need help, understand this. If you actually do need help, you should be able to manually dial 911 call. Okay, that's a manual dial. Why is it doing it by itself spontaneously? Someone suggested, well, maybe it's the case you have on there. Maybe it's squeezing both sides. No, changed the case 3 times. Even left the case off for like a week. And that week, called about 7 times. No case on it, no nothing. So it wasn't that the sides was being squeezed. It wasn't that somebody was messing with it. It wasn't the SIM card, because the 14 don't even have a SIM card in there, right? It's got the eSIM. Wasn't SIM card, wasn't case, wasn't settings, wasn't the carrier, because they all was happening on all carriers. Apple has a bug in their phone that's been calling 911. And it's happened in different cities I've lived in. It's happened on different phones, different carriers. Everything has been changed from my address to the phones and everything. Service and all. Has anyone else out there been experiencing this? Again, even if you turn the phone completely off and put it on the desk, not touching it, sitting on the desk, nobody touching it, calls 911. Yeah. I was team Android from the beginning. I've never had this problem on Android. And I'm not saying that it can't happen on Android. I'm sure someone's going to reply in the comments and say something like, well, I have an Android and it happened to me. Okay. This has been consistent on the iPhone since I can remember the 11 coming out. Through the 12, the 13, and the 14. Here's the funny thing. I've never had this problem on an Android. Not saying that no one has ever had that problem on Android, but me personally, speaking from myself, I've never had this problem on an Android. Not from the S3 to the Note 4 I had, to the S22 Ultra, the S21 Ultra. I've had Androids for years. Love Android, never had a problem. Always light years ahead of Apple. But Apple, yeah, Apple, bad news. And here's the funny thing. With everyone posting online about the 911 calls, I know Tim Cook and Craig Federighi, they know it. And I've Googled iPhone 911 bug. I've Googled random iPhone 911 calling. I've Googled several terms, and I keep getting all these boards where people are posting that their phones are doing the same thing. So if you are experiencing that issue, Post it in the comments below and understand this. I'm not saying it can't happen on the Android. I'm just saying I've never seen it on an Android, but I've always seen it on iPhone. Can you all please start firing off and sound off in the comments so that Apple can see it and pay attention? Please keep your comments respectful, I ask, but let them rip.